Hi, ArcfieldWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Monday morning, April 18th. It's an unusually cold morning here in the Mid-Atlantic region, the Northeast U.S. Many suburban areas to the north and west of the big cities dropped into the lower to middle 30s in the overnight hours with some frost in areas. And this unusual chill will lead to significant accumulating snow across portions of the interior, higher elevation locations of the Mid-Atlantic region and the northeastern part of the nation, all the way from western Virginia, West Virginia, the central and northeastern Pennsylvania, upstate New York, and certainly throughout much of interior New England. There will be significant accumulating snow over the next 24 hours or so. A major storm will form near or just off the eastern seaboard and intensify as it pushes to the north and east along the immediate I-95 corridor region from D.C. to Philadelphia to New York City. There will be a cold, soaking rain. You will not have to go too far to the north and west of there to see some snow. In fact, it's not out of the question that late tonight some of the far northern and western suburbs of places like Philadelphia, New York City, maybe even far northern and western suburbs of D.C. actually see a mixing of the snow as the storm pulls off to the north and east. This is the 0Z run of the operational version of the GFS in terms of the total snowfall forecast map by tomorrow morning. And look at some of these totals. Again, we are now in the second half of the month of April. First of all, just to the north and west of Philadelphia, and maybe the far western suburbs, western part of Chester County, for example, upper Bucks and Montgomery County may get even some snow and maybe even a little bit of accumulating snow. You don't have to go too far. Here's D.C. right here, not too far to the west. There'll be some decent snowfall. Again, West Virginia, Western Virginia, Western Maryland, all the way across central PA, northeastern PA, and then throughout much of upstate New York, maybe 6 to 12 inches in some portions of upstate New York and interior sections of New England. Quite an amazing storm for this time of year. Well, certainly over the past couple of weeks we've been talking about the continuation of cold air outbreaks making their way from northern Canada, western Canada, all the way into the central and eastern part of the U.S., contributing to an onslaught of severe weather outbreaks. Last week it contributed to snow, accumulating snow all the way from the west coast of the Pacific Northwest to the Dakotas. Of course, North Dakota got hit very, very hard with anywhere from 20 to 25 inches of snow in some spots. And now that cold air has moved all the way into the Mid-Atlantic region, the Northeast U.S., and again, it looks like accumulating snow across many interior, higher elevation locations of the Mid-Atlantic and the northeastern part of the nation over the next 24 hours or so. This is not the last of the cold air outbreaks. Let's take a look here at the North Atlantic Oscillation. This becomes an important teleconnection index for the Northeast, for the Mid-Atlantic region during the winter season, and really becomes quite important during the latter part of the winter into the early spring. And look at what is predicted here. Drops sharply into negative territory going into the month of May. And this time of the year, a negative NAO for a sustained period of time is a favorable sign that cold air outbreaks will continue to drop from Canada into the central and eastern U.S. And this is warning us that this kind of a pattern with these cold air outbreaks could continue right into the month of May. Well, to show some more supporting evidence of continuation of cold air outbreaks for the central and eastern U.S., I want to take a look here at the ensemble run of the GFS, and then we'll focus in on the major storm coming to the northeastern part of the nation. But the last night's run of the 500 millibar height anomaly pattern going forward from the ensemble version of the GFS here shows blocking indeed forming over the Hudson Bay region, Greenland, northeastern Canada over the next several days. We're looking at 5-day increments. This is the current 5-day period. Focus in on this area of North America right here, Greenland, northeastern Canada, and this is where some high latitude blocking, as suggested by the negative NAO, will indeed form over the next couple of weeks, likely continuing cold air outbreaks into the month of May for the eastern U.S. Let's just move forward here. Now notice it's getting darker and darker in terms of orange. That is higher and higher heights compared to normal. In other words, high latitude blocking forming right here over Greenland. And look, as we go even farther down the road here, now we're into the latter part of April, April 24th to April 29th. This is days 7 to 11. Not only do you get this kind of a pattern by days 10 to 14, and this is at the end of April going into early May, not only do you have high latitude blocking, as indicated here by the orange, the above normal heights, you have a trough developing across the eastern part of the nation. This is kind of a pattern that snow lovers would have loved to have seen a couple of months ago. But even now it can result in some snow as we're seeing today, and certainly would not rule it out in some of those interior higher elevation locations going into the latter part of the month of April, maybe even into early May. Look at this, with high latitude blocking across Greenland, northeastern Canada, and a trough setting up. Cold air outbreaks will continue into the month of May. Well, let's now focus in on the shorter term, and let's start off with the 850 millibar temperature anomalies. I'm using the 0Z run of the operational version of the GFS. Indeed, we have a colder than normal air mass in place right now across the northeastern part of the nation, and as we saw a moment ago, very strong signs that these kind of cold air outbreaks will continue right into the month of May. Let's just move forward here, and very, very cold air as we begin the week here relative to normal. In fact, during this storm, it's liable to be some 30 degrees below normal. Places like West Virginia, where they get accumulating snow over the next 24 hours or so, some 30 degrees below normal. The normal high right now, Philly, for example, at the International Airport in South Philly is about 66 degrees. Be hard-pressed to get out of the mid to upper 40s later on today. That is some impressive cold. Continues through the day on Tuesday. And then it starts to warm up during the second half of the work week here. Here we are now into Thursday. Notice a little bit of a warm-up here above normal. But let's just quickly move forward here, and we'll see, despite some warm-ups, there will be some more cold air outbreaks. Here we are now a week from now, April 25th. Look at this cold air outbreak starting to show up in the northern plains across the Great Lakes, and it just heads to the south and east as that high latitude blocking sets up. Here we are about a week and a half away from now, Wednesday, April 27th. This is a time where we started to see trough in the upper part of the atmosphere developing along the eastern seaboard and high latitude blocking over Greenland. Just a continuation of a dump of colder than normal air right into the eastern part of the nation, the central part of the nation, into the end of the month of April, and it looks like perhaps right into the early part of May. Well, in terms of the next 12 to 24 hours or so, there will be a strong storm forming near and just off the eastern seaboard. It will be an intensifying storm. It will produce a soaking rain event for places like D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, and to the south and east of the immediate I-95 corridor region. And enough cold air in place for significant accumulating snow. Western Virginia, West Virginia, central, northeastern Pennsylvania, upstate New York, interior New England. Here is one of the culprits. It's strong vorticity maxima starting off the day over the upper part of the Midwest and northern plains. It just dives to the south and east by this evening, and at this time we'll have strong storm, intensifying storm, getting close to the mid-Atlantic coastline, maybe hugging the coastline for a while. It dives into the south and east. By the time we get into the day on Tuesday, you'll have a strong storm pulling up through the New England coastline area, and another unusually chilly day on Tuesday with strong northwest winds, scattered rain and snow showers throughout the northeastern quadrant of the nation. That finally kicks on out of here by the middle of the week, and indeed we get a little bit of a warm-up, a decent warm-up. By the time we get to Thursday and Friday, we'll be pushing 70 degrees again, places like D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. Well, let's wrap up with the surface forecast maps, again using the 0Z GFS model run. Just now starting to show some ice across western Virginia. Look at all this blue. for the second half of the month of April. Quite impressive indeed. We saw that strong upper level vorticity maximum right here. That's associated with some surface low pressure right here. But watch what happens now as it shifts to the south and east. So will the low pressure area. We're really starting to intensify here near the mid-Atlantic coastline by early tonight. And all this is accumulating snow, all this blue here across central, western Pennsylvania, eventually into northeastern PA. And look at this, by later on tonight, significant accumulating snow across central Pennsylvania, northeastern Pennsylvania, upstate New York, and eventually into interior New England. Meanwhile, heavy rain, maybe even a thunderstorm or two mixed in D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, and points to the south and east of there. Again, late tonight, do not be shocked if snow mixes in as far northern and western suburbs of Philly, New York City, maybe even far northern and western suburbs of D.C., and of course accumulating snow. Interior, higher elevation locations of the northeast U.S. continue into the early morning hours on Tuesday. And then for the bulk of the day on Tuesday, mid-Atlantic, northeast U.S. with strong northwest winds, much colder than normal air, maybe some scattered rain and snow showers. In fact, downstream of the Great Lakes, expect some additional snow accumulations on Tuesday with some of those lake effect bands here. Then we get into the day on Wednesday and things start to quiet down. This high pressure area moves in, starts to turn a little bit milder, and then by the time we get to Thursday, it gets back to near the 70-degree mark. Places like D.C., Philadelphia, New York City remains pretty mild on Friday as well. But this early week cold snap will not be the last one. Unfortunately, it looks like more significant cold air outbreaks headed to the central and eastern U.S. all the way into the latter part of the month of April and likely right into the early part of the month of May. That's it for now. For ArcfieldWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.